Wait for your cue.
Yeah, we're live, mate. We are
We're
live.
live. All right, this is good. Hello, Facebook.
Woo!
How are you, Damo?
Yeah, great, PC. Hey, Guy, I was listening to you the other day on Dave Norris's podcast.
Dave Norris.
Yeah. That was Memory Health Made Easy.
Ah.
Yeah.
He has no idea what you're
Can't
talking
remember.
about.
Yeah, no, that was a while back. Yeah.
I thought I caught up. I thought I was up to date, but obviously not. But isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating?
That is so good.
Is that podcast still going? There you go.
It's like, I wasn't on that podcast. What are you
Dave
talking
Norris.
about? It's like, no, you were. I listened to you.
Dave Norris. I don't remember that. I'm on 6,000 podcasts a week. I don't remember that one.
It's the price of fame, Guy. The price
of fame. Yeah, I wish.
Yeah.
Well, Facebook, it's a very informal introduction to Guy Lawrence today before we actually start recording. It's a nice humorous start to our Facebook Live because sometimes, Guy, as you know, Facebook Lives can be a little bit clunky and you're not really sure who's on and if it's live and who's commenting. I still can hardly get a notification. There we are, 198 is live now.
Yeah.
All right, I can now get comments. All right, I can see what people are saying. All right, that's good. Oh, joy. All right. Get very distracted with this live, but it's good. I'm glad that we do it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we do it. All right. All right, I'm ready to record. If you guys are ready to rock.
Yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Okay.
What I'm surprised about is that we haven't been joined yet. Like, no one has commented to say hello. Anyway.
Maybe you're just not getting comments.
No, here we go. Fiona Davis. There we go, Fiona. Great. We are good. I love them. Thanks, Fiona. Thanks for saying hi. I was feeling all lonely. I was like, what's going on? Where is everybody?
You are such a Labrador. It's like if one person...
Yeah.
Mate, you are...
I'm going to run between your legs and...
I just love that was concerning you so much.
I was like, is this working? Guy doesn't get it. Guy's not even laughing with us because he just doesn't understand why.
I got baby brain.
It's the algorithm. Damo's nemesis is the algorithm. It's not giving the Labrador any pats whatsoever.
The algorithm's ridiculous.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, and 1. Hello and welcome to 100 Not Out, a weekly show dedicated to helping you master the art of aging well. Marcus Pearce here with you for episode 418. And as always, I have the great privilege of shooting down to Melbourne to my brother from another mother. I love him to death. He is Dr. Damien Christoph. Hello, brother.
Hello, brother. How are you, Piercy?
I'm well. Are you a fan of love them to death or love them to life?
Well, when someone says knock 'em dead, I go, no, I'll knock 'em alive. So maybe I'm love 'em to life. That's probably what it would be. Now, but that's what I am. I'm an optimist. You know, the other day I was thinking about it. I was thinking, 400 episodes is quite a lot. And then I was listening to Mark Howard, listening to Howard Games. I've been doing a lot of driving. It's actually not long after I listened to Guy on Dave Norris podcast, which I don't even know whether or not that's still going. But I was listening to the Howard Games, and he is up to episode 124. And people are going, congratulations, well done, 124. 20 million downloads he's had. I was like, wow. We've had 418 episodes, and what are we at? 100 million? Something like that.
I think we're about to hit
a million.
9 zeros. We're about to hit 9 zeros.
What's 9 zeros?
1 billion.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So aging well is way more popular than sport. There's no doubt about it. Now, before I introduce our very special guest, who is one of the few to make a return to 100 Not Out, I just need to let all of the listeners and the viewers know. This is because today's episode is proudly brought to you by the 100 Not Out Longevity Experience in Byron Bay, the very first one in Byron Bay. It's a very important community service announcement because there are some cheeky comments distributing themselves on social media, almost laughing at the fact that we're having a longevity experience in Byron Bay, given the deluge of rain that southeast Queensland all the way down to Sydney has had over the last few days. I just want to let all of those cheeky people know that I have just been swimming in the beach in the most pristine ocean on a 30-degree day with blue skies, not a breath of wind, the day after the storm. And if anyone wants to point a finger at my beautiful backyard and say, I don't know what it will be like in May. Well, let me just remind you that the day after a 3-day storm, it is pristine. So that's just my little high horse rant for anyone that's dubious about coming to Byron Bay in May. We wouldn't do it out of stupidity. We do it because anyone that's coming from anywhere south of Byron Bay is going to have a warmer experience than their little town. Sorry, Dave, I just had to get that off mine. That's for Alistair Mills, who said, have you got your snorkels ready?
Wow.
So yes.
Wow, Al, you should know better than that.
Don't poke the bear.
Don't poke the bear. Particularly when Marcus was, previously living in Leongatha, where just never sunshine, and now he's there. He's not even Victorian anymore, Piercy. We've lost him to far north New South Wales.
That's it.
Yeah.
Particularly when anyone has a go at the location of our event. I'm going to defend it to the hilt. So there's another very important reason why we need to talk about Byron Bay today, because one of my neighbours is our guest today. He's a dear man. And again, as I just mentioned, we have had Guy Lawrence on the podcast before. But today we get to talk about a topic that has come up either in the episodes or in the Facebook Lives. And it's largely around stress. But there's a few different avenues that we want to take it. And the reason why we are excited to talk to Guy Lawrence today is because we also get to announce that Guy will be weaving his magic at our Byron Bay Longevity Experience in May. He'll be running a breathwork and meditation workshop. I've seen Guy do this work twice in the flesh. I've had the privilege of seeing him take a group of people at the Wellness Breakthrough, and also recently up here in Byron Bay with the Positive Real Estate Leadership Team. And he is, I love watching a master at work. I have a great love affair with watching someone that is very good at what they do. It's like seeing you adjust someone, Damo. Like I just love it. It gives me goose pimples, and I love watching Guy weave his magic. He is the host of the Let It In podcast. He is a speaker, a retreat leader, a breath work guru, a meditation master. He's an ice bath junkie.
An ass bath?
An ass bath junkie.
You said ass bath. You said ass bath.
It gives us great joy to welcome him back to 100 on Out. Guy Lawrence, welcome back to the podcast.
Well, gentlemen, thank you. And to be on 418, geez, that is some achievement, guys. Whew. Amazing.
Thanks, Guy. Thanks, Guy.
Wow.
Keep pumping us up. We like it.
Yeah, incredible. Seriously, incredible. Yeah.
Mate, it's so great to have you back on. And as PC said before, not many people make it back on. Jan Smith's probably one person that's been on a few times, and maybe a couple of others. Maybe Kim Morrison's been on a couple of times, but you're right up there, Guy, to get back on again. But yeah, unbelievable, mate. It has been a big couple of years for you. I first met you when you were running 180 Nutrition. You nailed that. That was massive. That was a huge brand. And now you're doing breath work, meditation, body mind work. How are you finding all of that in this current climate?
I think it's more important than ever. It really is. And more people are coming to us because ultimately, it's with what's going on there in the current climate, it's easy to fall into a very narrow bandwidth of reality, thinking that's all there is. And quite often, if that becomes our reality, we tend to live from a fearful place. Mm-hmm. And if we live from a fearful place, creating any kind of substantial change in our lives is very difficult because we're in a stress response all the time. And I don't know about you guys, but I get the feeling people are sick and tired of it. And they want to do something empowering. Like I'll just go off on a tangent here, but I literally released a podcast episode with Bruce Lipton yesterday.
Oh, and, we love him. He's been on a couple of times.
Yeah, he's a rock star, eh? And I spent nearly 90 minutes with him a couple of weeks ago. And he said he said one quote that's just stuck with me ever since. And he's like, it's time to gain knowledge. Knowledge is empowering, but knowledge of self is self-empowering. And And I think that's where it's all leading to. And for me, you mentioned 180 Nutrition and the success it had. It was a beautiful thing. It was incredible. I surprised myself. It wasn't just me. It was a team effort. But then I got to a point where I achieved many things. I even went out and bought a red Ducati, which I never thought I could do. And I had the material things, I had the successful things, and I had money coming in, and yet I still was pretty miserable. And then that's when the real self-inquiry and the inner self-work really started to blossom even more, because I'd already been looking at it, but then it's like, okay, this is real, and I think we're seeing that now.
We are seeing it now. What's interesting also, I think, Guy, at the moment is a lot of people are so on edge that they need to take a step back, like because they're going to fall over, like literally topple off the cliff. People are so on edge that particularly here in Victoria, if people cough or sneeze, they think that you've got COVID, even though there's no COVID in Victoria at the moment. People have become very polarized. Even we see this in the political sphere. We look over in Western Australia, for example, where a massive landslide has led to just one party running the whole of Western Australia unanimously, unopposed, because people have swung into different poles. Like they're so disconnected from self that they're looking for a pole to, I don't know, hang on to or to side with. You know what I mean? Like, that's me, I'm right. That's me, I'm left. That's where they're going, because they don't know who they are. So they've lost their middle ground. That's what I'm finding.
Totally. And I think you said the most important thing then is to be able to take a step back, to be able to actually breathe and create some space in our life and just slow down. And I think the last year has definitely given us an opportunity to self-reflect, and we've had to do that. But for me, it's self-reflection is great, but how do we actually take that further so we can create substantial change within ourselves to then start to change the way we are being on a day-to-day basis? And I think that's where it gets lost. And that takes work. It takes effort, just like maintaining health takes effort.
Yes.
But once we condition ourselves and have great habits and great structures and great support around us, the effort can then be maintained without the initial effort of creating that change in the first place. So creating that space is huge.
So, Guy, you've been one of the few people in my network that's had the courage to run real life events, in the last 6 months. I ran one, and my Wellness Couch colleague Brett Hill got locked in South Australia the day before the event was run, and
that's right.
I ran it solo, and I was like, oh gee, this is just hairy. You've done a couple, and Damo and I spoke. We've obviously spoken every week since COVID hit, and we were talking about that. The trends that people were going on in their lives were exacerbated by COVID. So if they were in poor relationships, that was exacerbated. If they had poor wealth, that was exacerbated. If they had poor health, that was exacerbated. There's not too many. There are some exceptions to the rule, of course, but there hasn't been too many U-turns during this period of time. And for someone that has had up close in real life experience with a number of human beings, in a retreat setting over the last 6 months, I'd love for you to make comment on what you've observed and whether you're happy to go into that mind-body trauma connection that you and I have had private conversations around, and not into the specifics of the trauma, but how you've seen people cleanse that or allowed that trauma to I suppose redefine their life on an in the flesh basis, because for many of us, we haven't actually had that much connection with humanity on the same level that you've had recently.
Yeah, what a question. It's like we've forgotten who we really are. Mm-hmm. And then when people walk through that door, we can all very well wear a mask and say everything's good, but the moment we start digging underneath, it's like, well, it all starting to move and starting to come out, and how much we've been holding in there. From what I witnessed, if I break it down for just when people walk through the door initially, what I've witnessed is that people are absolutely craving human connection. And the irony is that we're driving more division around connection at the moment. and which is creating more separation. And if you look at any law of separation, it creates more suffering. Mm-hmm. So that is a clear indicator for me. And then from that, what is revealing itself? There's a saying I always say is that you need to reveal it, to feel it, to heal it. And going through those sequences of events over what we do is over 4 days, it's amazing what can start to come out if we're willing to allow ourselves to feel safe enough to start to surrender back to the body, because we are so conditioned to live from the thinking mind, the analytical mind, and be in our heads. We let go of the right side of the self. We kind of trying to solve all our situations from the neck up. Yet there's a wealth of information just below the brain that is the entire body and its intuitive system that can run with it. But if we're living our life on a daily basis, if the media is our main source of information, if COVID is the main source of conversation, and we're constantly getting that stress response. Every time I open the media, I don't know about you guys, but I get chills down my spine half the time instantly. Horrendous. And it's like, far out, just calm down a little bit. Let's try and get a realistic perspective here. And if that's a reality, and we are conditioning ourselves every single day to be that, the body is, you're training and conditioning the body to respond beyond anything that the mind will tell it to. It becomes like a horse out in the paddock, you keep doing it a certain way, it's going to start behaving a certain way, like Pavlov's dog, Yeah. And to me, that's when you want to start overriding that and overcoming that, and give yourself the opportunity to reveal that and reconnect back to the self, reconnect back to the body, and start to listen to what the body is trying to tell you, then we can start to reveal it. Then we can start to feel what's actually going on, and then we can start to heal it. But the thing is as well, like I said, we spent 90 minutes talking to Bruce Lipton about this the other day. But if that's like a hard drive of the computer, I kind of look like the body these days, hard drive and software, where software being our consciousness, the signaling that's being passed through the body, information that's being passed, and the hardware being the physical aspect of it. And from the moment we're born all the way up into this life, there is a record that's going into that hardware, created from the software that's been running from it. And every now and then it needs a reboot. It needs a reset with a software upgrade. And what we are finding is that if people are giving themselves the space, allowing themselves to overcome that trauma, it is very possible. And that's when you can get into different tools and different techniques to start revealing that. Because it then creates a different sense of being. It stops allowing the body to be responding in those reactive responses that's going beyond the thinking mind anyway. So we got to almost remove the mind, allow the wisdom of the body to know what it needs to do, and then reset, and then come back into the world with that sort of upgrade of version Windows 2.0 to
I love this. I agree with you. I was recently talking to somebody, and Guy, it's amazing that you say this, but I was saying that the brain is kind of like the hard drive, but the body, so below C1, the body is the operating system. So the operating system's part of how the body is going to operate, and that can be upgraded from time to time, but the brain can be erased. So the hard drive can be erased. Anyway, so I love your analogy. I love that. It's kind of like maybe the body's more RAM, so it's already is built in there. It's kind of just what it is. But that's computer geek talk. For those of you who don't know computers, that's fine. Just keep sticking with your Mac and your iPhone. You don't need to know that stuff. But I was also I was listening to a book the other day, and where you talk about reveal to feel to heal. I think where people have kind of lost who they truly are is because the media and everything around us, the environment, gears us to have finite thinking. So I've been listening to Simon Sinek's new book, and it's about infinite thinking. And so this ability to have infinite thinking to take us way beyond our immediacy, to think into the future for the long term as opposed to immediate gain. There needs to be a shift in humanity to think about what is the gain for others rather than the gain for self. And where the other day Piercy and I were talking about being kind to yourself, I think that you can be kinder to yourself by involving others in your decision process. Like, who are you thinking for when you make that decision? Is it just yourself? And if it is, then it's a finite thought as opposed to an infinite approach to life, if that makes sense. So I was kind of thinking that way, and I really think that kind of ties into what you're talking about. Maybe you could write a bestseller that goes up against Simon Sinek. That could be unbelievable. That could be great, Guy. What's your feeling around a finite thinking in terms of its limitation versus an infinite thought process that's maybe more in touch with the universe and universal principles?
Wow. That's a huge question, and it depends how far down the rabbit hole we want to go here. Sorry,
let's go deep. Let's go deep
as you want to go.
Yeah, let's go deep. Let's go down the rabbit hole.
Honestly, the way I look at this now, and I've had to have embodied experiences to change my conditional cultural belief systems. Is that fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up, I was raised a certain way, I lived a certain way, I drank beer a certain way, I played rugby a certain way, and I had an identity and belief of who I thought I was, and how I thought and how I operated. And I never questioned it. That's just life, And then, of course, the mechanics underneath start shifting and moving. And there's like this, why can't I scratch this internal itch that doesn't want to leave me alone? It follows me like a bad smell everywhere. And then the pain starts getting greater, and then you start looking. And it was from starting to observe my thoughts and my thinking, started to do a lot of meditation. And from that meditation, I had a moment where I actually surrendered to myself so much. I actually expanded beyond myself and became part of something greater than myself, mm-hmm. like a fabric, a network. They call it the unified field, 0-point field, the divine matrix, you name it. All scientists have been talking about it, the quantum field. And it's like I became the drop in the ocean. And it was an instantaneous knowing and connection that came from that you just can't put words to. So I started having more and more of these experiences as I started to explore it more and more. So then what was happening for me was, as that connection deepened, I realized when I started to look into the science, and the HeartMath Institute have done a massive amount of work on this over the last 25 years, that actually going beyond the brain and connecting to the heart actually is much more than a pump. And they've been able to measure this field of energy that actually resonates from the heart 60 to 80 times greater than what the brain resonates as well. And that it's got brain-like cells similar to the brain within the heart as well. And that's a communication. What they've realized, that's the intuitive self from that. So you can actually develop that like a muscle and develop the connection from the heart to the brain. So we start sending more and more information from the heart to the brain. So you start having this instantaneous thought, this instantaneous knowing and feeling, which is known as intuition, self, and start honoring that. So it's like, for me, it's like getting actually information beyond the mind into a universal field of energy that is information. So when it comes to these things, I was able to sell 180 Nutrition, move into this work by actually honoring that way of thinking more than my conditioned analytical mind thinking. And then I built a relationship with the both of them, so I was actually acting upon what actually felt right more than what just thought right. Because every time I thought, quite often I'd come up against my own cultural beliefs, my old identity, and then I would start self-sabotaging. But if I started to condition a practice that came from the heart, not the mind, essentially, I was getting a very different response. And when I look back in reflection now, I just look at it as honoring my truth, honoring what actually wants to come through, and being not afraid to live from that place. So
Guy, you just mentioned analytical mind thinking,
mm-hmm.
and this is the place that a lot of people are in, and a lot of people are in somewhat automatically. And again, I've seen you weave your magic, particularly through breath work, meditation, and ice baths. And I know that some people are listening going, yep, Guy, I've got this. I I am in analytical mind thinking, and this heart-based thinking is a great idea, but it seems like a fantasy at the moment. So I would love for you to share with people the impact that breath work, meditation, cold exposure, any of these vehicles, just the effectiveness of them, how you have found that on a personal level and in observation with others. Because I know if people are going, oh, I'm wondering if I come along to Byron Bay and see Guy weave his magic and do all of this. Well, can you share with people that breath work, meditation, cold water exposure and other things as a way to get out of analytic mind thinking? Because I think that's what a lot of people get stuck on is, oh, how do I do it?
Yeah. Totally. And at the end of the day, there's a couple of points I want to raise as well. There's nothing wrong with the analytical thinking. We need that. We function in society from that. But for me, it's about creating the balance between the both. Okay. And how do we get there, and how do we just switch off that mind and become the observer of our thoughts and not actually buying into our thoughts for a little while? And if you think about what's the number one job of the body, it's to keep you safe, it's to keep you alive. And quite often we rely so dependently on the thinking mind because it gives us a sense of control, sense of safety, a sense of security. And we lean sometimes too much into that. And then it doesn't allow us to have the very things that we want in our life. So how do we do it? We need to get into the body, and we can actually, by doing these different modalities, in some respects, we're actually stressing the body, which sounds counterproductive. But it's like stressing the body when going to the gym, or stressing the body when you go to the stairs, a stairs run or something. If you can create a response and then create an adaptation after, because they say you don't get fitter and stronger from working out. You get fitter and stronger from recovering from working out. And then that's where the adaptation starts to happen. And that's how we want to get into the nervous system, because the nervous system is the filter between how we perceive reality, filtering through the nervous system to the information we actually give the body. So if we can get into the nervous system and evolve the adaptation there, then we can start to create a very different response and work from the body out into the way we're being, into how we start to perceive situation. So eventually the external, instead of waiting for external response to influence the way we feel, we can actually influence the way we feel from the way we are being moment to moment by having the practices in place and honoring the feelings that come through and not get too hung up on them, or actually avoid them as well. So when it comes to, say, ice bath, the cold exposure, or breath work, they're kind of mechanical processes that you can do, and the body has to adapt physically, because you can stress the body through the breath by doing different breathing modalities. But then it's the response on the nervous system that we're after when you start doing that, when you start doing these forced activities. And then from that, we can then get the response we're after. And then it's about finding that load response and incorporating in these practices in our life. Not getting too excited, doing them every day. Like I jump in an ice bath once a week. It's perfect. If I'm overstressed or if I'm overtired and I'm already burnt out, I kind of don't jump in for so long. You know what I mean? You start finding that balance within it, and they are wonderful tools along with other modalities that you can bring in to support one state of being. And then over time, you can and look back especially over a 12-month, 18-month period, it's night and day of how you can transform one's state of being.
I'm very interested in this guy. Obviously, Wim Hof has been doing these ice baths since the wellness guys were going, and so like for me, I'm thinking, yes, but inside my body, inside my operating system, inside my RAM right now, I'm going, I love warmth. Like if I want to move from Melbourne, I'm moving north. Like I'm not moving any further south. Like I want to get up past Byron Bay where it's actually warmer. And you're saying that I can be better if I jump in an ice bath. Myself is saying don't listen to Guy, and so I'm thinking I'd rather do the breath work. Can I get the same result from breath as I would from ice, or do I need to have good breath and good ice at the same time, or are they interchangeable? Or
great question.
Question. I'm a path of least resistance kind of guy,
Yeah, look, And I think 99% of the people listening to this now, first of all, let me just say, I've put my 75-year-old mother in an ice bath, and she did it for 2 minutes, and she was scared before she came in, and then she was addicted when she came out.
Really?
So there's definitely a perception around it, for instance.
What else do you put in your ice? That sounds pretty good.
And this is what it comes back to. I don't think there really is any magic pill. There is no one modality. I genuinely feel it's about seeing what works for you over the long term. I really do. And if an ice bath isn't your gig, then it isn't your gig. But it's only not your gig unless you've tried it once or twice first.
Yeah,
and
very cool. Very cool.
How it feels.
That's like Brussels sprouts, right? I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always feel compelled because I'm a little bit obsessed with the context behind Wim Hof and the ice baths, and particularly for people that are listening or watching this, I loved your question, Damo. I love it when you just ask really honest questions. So good. So Wim Hof's wife died. They had 4 children, and Wim Hof became a single dad with 4 kids. And when he is asked about this, which I don't think is often enough, because I think it's a very powerful story, he tells people that his kids helped him survive and nature is what healed him. And I think it's so important because a lot of people go, well, Wim Hof does it, why can't I? Wim Hof lost his wife. He was so grief-stricken that he needed something like cold exposure to allow him to be in the present moment. And many of us have varied layers of grief and trauma that we haven't quite dealt with or acknowledged over our life. And it may not have been that our spouse died, but I just think it's really important that, and I love what you both said here, and I just want to give the context. Like, there is a reason why Wim Hof is magnificently obsessed with cold exposure. He has experienced a lot of trauma and pain in his life. And I think if that context was shared more, people would, I suppose, understand it a bit more. So anyway, so I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer on that.
No, well, here I am, just like, I've come right down and I'm thinking about that. That's pretty rough. But
I just think, sorry, Damo.
No, it's great. Like, I think it's incredible that he discovered that would bring him back into that calm state or that parasympathetic state or whatever it is, because I think you've got to go into sympathetics, like, to do that, to survive ice, right? You have to go into sympathetics. But the flip of that, the ebb of that, or the flow of that, whatever it is, would be that you would go into parasympathetics. So that was that calming, restorative, rest and digest kind of state where maybe that engages other parts of the brain to heal. So that's interesting, and I didn't know that, PC. That's a good story.
No, it doesn't get shared often enough. I just think it's absolutely fascinating. Guy, we could talk forever, but we are going to talk for a long time in Byron Bay together. Damo's going to come up here. I'm telling Damo to move up here, but he won't. He's as Melburnian as they come.
It's just if Punt Road was near you, I would be there in a heartbeat. But it's not.
I understand. But Guy, we are absolutely thrilled to have you join us at the 100 Not Out Longevity Experience in Byron Bay in May. You are a wealth of information. Again, having seen you weave your magic, I know you had Cindy O'Meara and Kim Morrison attend your Live in Flow retreat recently. I know Kim and Cindy have been in the ice bath with you and thoroughly enjoyed it, I could actually say. I think that would actually almost be the term that they would use. But we are absolutely thrilled to have you join us. We're not going to tell everyone exactly what activities we'll be doing with Guy. He's got a number of tricks up his sleeve, a number of tools in his belt. But if you would love to join us with Guy, Damo and myself, May 16 to 22, application over at 100notout.com. Damo, I haven't told you before we wrap it up, Cynthia Bevan, one of our Icarian Aphrodites, has applied to join us. I haven't spoken to her in person yet. I'm calling her tonight once the kids are in bed.
That'd be great to see her again. Has
applied. And shout out to Vivian Dean, who is an avid listener of 100 Not Out. She saw the dates.
Love Viv.
And she said, I'm spewing I wish I could be there because I am actually in southeast Queensland a couple of days before it starts, and then I'm flying home to run the Great Ocean Road Marathon.
Oh.
And if you're not running the Great Ocean Road Marathon in 2021, you are able to come to Byron Bay. But Vivian Dean, she can't wait to come to another one. She's got marathons to run. But again, Guy, we cannot wait to have you join us. For all information on Guy, head on over to Instagram. He's Guy H. Lawrence. That's LAW. And go to his website, guylawrence.com.au. Listen to his wonderful podcast. I know we've hit over 1 billion downloads. I don't know if you knew this, Damo. Guys had 10 billion downloads of the Let It In podcast. Bruce Lipton's already had 100 million downloads in a couple of days. Michael Sandler. Michael Beckwith, the Reverend Michael Beckwith. For anyone that watched The Secret all those years ago,
Yep.
I just love Reverend Michael Beckwith. And I see, Guy, that he's chopped off his hair. Those long black locks have disappeared.
God, wow.
He's had that haircut for a while, I believe.
Yeah, I'm a bit Johnny come lately on that one, but I saw it on your Instagram. But you've got some great interviews on there. I have thoroughly enjoyed listening to your podcast, Guy, and we love your work. So listeners, head on over to guylawrence.com.au. You'll get all the information there and his retreats, liveinflow.co. Guy, you're a gem. You're a great man. You're a wonderful dad, an incredible husband. We thank you for joining us on 100 Not Out.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Damo, as always,
Piercy.
thank you. Great man.
Yes, thank you too, Piercy. Great questions and great guest. Thanks for coming back on, Guy. Terrific to have you.
Yes. Speaking of great guests, next week, Pam Brook, founder of Brook Farm, who's written a great new book. Brooke has written a book, We Can All Eat That.
Mm-hmm.
That is coming up on episode 419. And then I reckon episode 420.
Second best muesli company in the world.
Yeah, only a smidge behind Forage.
Yeah.
Which is a legacy muesli company.
That's where I was going.
That's it. And episode 420 will be Anna Rubinstein.
Oh, that'll be
Making
good
of
too.
Men, Rites of Passage.
That's
Yeah.
so good.
And
I
not
love
just-
Anna. How good's Anna?
We
She's
love
a
Anna.
legend.
There's a lot of love for Anna.
Yeah.
Not just boy to man to elder, not just girl to woman to elder, but we'll be discussing elder shame and
Ooh.
really think about it. As people get older, their self-esteem declines, and we're
100%.
going to arrest that pattern
Good.
with Anna Rubinstein.
Good. I love that.
And it's going to be a fascinating conversation that's coming up in the next week or two. Damo,
Busy.
thanks for your wisdom. For more info on Damo, folks, head on over to DamienChristoff.com, myself, MarcusPearce.com.au. And until next week, continue to make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Bye for now.
Well done, team.
Well done.
Wow, it goes quick, eh?
Yeah, how was that, everybody? Did you like that? I can see Alistair is loving it. Wendy's loving it. It's been unbelievable. Viv, if you're watching, Viv, which you should be, I've got a little gift for you when you come into the practice next. So let me just remember to pick it up at the front desk because, yeah, it's
You
there.
see so many more comments than I do. I don't see Viv. I don't see Tracy. I just see Alistair Mills going wild on the comments.
Hey,
I
Alistair.
see Vicky Stanford says, I swam in Tasmania. Does that count? That's colder than Antarctica.
That's pretty
So
cold.
that definitely counts.
Yeah. I swam in Tasmania in Wine Glass Bay just the other day. That was so cold. So cold. I think it was like 13 degrees on the day, but the sun came out. And so we thought, oh, well, sun's out, guns out, jumped into the ocean. And I'll tell you what, it's very cold in there. That was definitely an ice bath. Couldn't be much colder than that. Although I did swim in Taupo. That was cold.
Wendy Stewart says, Damo, you are not allowed to leave Melbourne ever. It's like the town owns you. The town owns you. They've given you the keys and they've locked you up. Alistair Mills says, coin gentlemen. I assume you're talking about Byron Bay. It is 6997, Alistair, and it goes for 7 days, 6 nights, 7 days. All those details are at 100notout.com. Any other comments in there? A lot of love for Guy. Thank you, Guy, as always. Someone else said Guy is in great form.
Yeah.
Lot of love
As usual.
for you, Guy.
As usual was that comment.
Guy nailing it as always. That's
As
it.
always.
As always. Well done. Well done.
Very good.
All right.
Very good.
Well,
Thanks,
is
Guy.
Is that our due to Facebook?
What did you say?
Is that our due to Facebook? Is there anything else on Facebook, or shall we?
As in
wrap
au
this
revoir.
up?
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Adieu. What's adieu?
Adieu. Adieu. Adieu to you and you and you. Is that?
Isn't that hello? Or
That's South.
good morning? Isn't that good morning?
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
Is that? Can someone tell us? Is that good?
Oh, no.
Is that goodbye?
Guy might know. That's closer to Guy's hometown than it is our hometown. Surely. He might be able to speak another language. Guy, he's got a funny accent. And that's not,
Yeah, no. It is goodbye. I'm freaking out here.
Is
It's
it?
French. I'm having a mind blow.
Au revoir.
Anyway.
Oh, exactly.
adieu.
Arrivederci. All right.
Bye.
Sayonara. See you later, Facebook. Adieu
right.
is goodbye from Wendy Stewart.
Adieu
She
is
would know
goodbye.
because
Yeah,
she's
thank you,
Indian.
thank
She
you.
would know that stuff. That's right.
All right, Facebook.
See you guys.
Goodbye. Guy, hang on the line. We'll say goodbye to you on Skype and we'll
Yeah.
say goodbye to Facebook now.
That's right. Wendy, go Tigers.